Because we've never had you before on the sofa.
No, you haven't.
No.
Only as a director, Graham.
Yeah.
Shall we gloss over that, though?
I know, really. I was in a play that... and
You were?
Yes. Dame Judy had to shout at me because I was so
Tell us more!
That is true. No, I've seen her angry. It's not a good look.
What did he do?
He did almost nothing.
What was required of him?
Quite a lot.
I was very poor.
So imagine if Kate, if you were on that podcast, would you have tales to tell?
Well, I nearly did a poo on stage once.
What? And you were talking about holding your breath? When we had this to look forward to?
I'm just sitting here realising that you're now going to make me tell that story.
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean,
we need context.
We need some more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, I'm actually going to tell the story. Come on. It is tellable. It's quite long, so I'll try and go through it quickly, and then you're just going to have to edit really cleverly. So, when I was 18 years old, I was in a production of What the Butler Saw by Joe Norton at the Royal Exchange in Manchester. OK. And I played this character named Geraldine who goes to apply for the job of the doctor's secretary. And he says, well, let me see, Miss Buckley, I'm going to have to give you a full physical examination. Please go behind the curtain and strip. OK, so this is a part of the play. So in a normal situation, there's a regular stage, much like this one, with an audience there. So you'd think, well, go behind the curtain and you take your clothes off and you throw your things over and no one can see you because you're behind the curtain in a normal stage. This theatre was in the round. So, little me, so I go behind the curtain and I do what I've done for nights on end and I take everything off and I'm behind this kind of curtain shape like that. So all the people above me are just looking straight down at poor little Kate. So I lie there and I have to lie on this bed and I would lie like this, really kind of uncomfortably and awkwardly, and I'm lying there and suddenly... Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's happening, it's happening, it's happening. Oh, my God, I'm going to shit myself. I'm lying on a white sheet, naked on the stage, OK? So I'm like, oh my God, happening now, happening, really happening, sweating, definitely, it's happened. So I think I'm convinced I've totally shat myself on the floor. And so I think, well, what am I going to do? Because in a minute I have to stand up, come out from behind the curtain and look for all my clothes that he sees in the plant pots, and I'm like, I've done a fucking poo! This is horrific. So I start to kind of runkle this sheet. I'm like, I'm just gonna get this sheet. So I try and scrunkle up this sheet as best I can. I do this some kind of sort of ninja flip move. I twist myself and I bind this sheet all around myself, and I'm still thinking, happening, coming behind the curtain, standing in front of an audience who can see me from every angle, and I'm absolutely just convinced that if I move my body, there's going to be poo on the floor. This is really a true... Isn't this awful? I promise you. This is the most awful, awful thing. So then, clothes, and because the shoes, and honestly, I practically slither off this stage. And I hide in a corner, thinking, I've got to check this sheet.
Did you shit yourself?
Ladies and gentlemen, I had not actually done a poo, but the second I got into my dressing room and I ran into that bathroom, gunfire. Gunfire. Even as I remember it, I'm like, it's absolutely true.
Paul, did you base this character in After Sun on your dad?
Not directly, but probably, like, I don't have anyone else to really base my dad off a dad off other than my dad, really. So he's probably in there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And did he get you into acting? Is that the story?
Well, my dad used to do a bit of... He's a school teacher, but used to act as well when I was growing up. And I remember when I was about 7 or 8, he was like, I'm doing this play. It was a play called Jeffrey Bernard is Unwell.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an excuse. I always found, like, going to the theatre and the cinema when I was young was an excuse to get chips and, like, nice food and soft drinks. So I went along and I was bitterly disappointed that he wasn't in the play. It was like a one-man play with, like, loads of crazy costumes. And I only realised towards the very end of the play that he was, like, wearing, like, fake beards and eyes and... Yeah. So...
Now, either your father's a brilliant actor or you were a bit thick.
But no... I was just focusing on the Maltesers. I was like, yeah, this is great.
No sign of dad.
Yeah, I was really thick.
And now, where did the music come from?
Where did the music come from? Well, my mum and dad actually met on stage doing Pirates of Penzance.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably there, but my mum's not a great singer. My mum was one of the maids, and my dad was the Pirate King.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Hell yeah.
Here I am. So,
No, I say that because you are a great singer, and we've heard you sing, and now there's this clip that has been out in the world. How is it out in the world? Did the school release it or something? So this is a school production of Phantom of the Opera.
the first ever amateur production in
You're the
Ireland.
Phantom?
I was the Phantom.
Stop. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, remember, this is a school production. I don't know what school you went to, but the production values, I think, are quite high. I think probably people have seen professional productions. Sure. Not as good. So this is Paul Mescal as... Oh, now, do you remember the name of the lady who...
Jessica Hackett.
Jessica Hackett. It was on the tip of my tongue. I knew her. It's Paul Mescal and Jessica Hackett in Phantom of the Opera. Enjoy. Look at this. Come on. Look at this.
Is that real fire?
No, it's like a...
Oh, like a scream.
Look at that mask.
I'm guessing that's a wig.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I hope she doesn't faint. She might faint. I hope she doesn't faint.
Look how long my hands are.
You're both feeling it.
Yeah.
So much.
Oh, no, I think she's getting a bit faint. She might go... She's got... oh! It's very good. But I was watching... So, famously, Phantom of the Opera, at the end of Act 1, a chandelier comes crashing down to the stage.
That's what it's supposed to come, like swooping in,
Yeah.
big dramatic moment.
Yeah.
But that's where the production values, we'd use them all on the, like, candles, clearly.
Yes.
But we did have a kind of ramshackle...
I'll tell you what, I fast-forwarded. Here is... So talk us through this. So you went for slow motion.
Well, we didn't have an option, because that's how fast it moved.
To the stage.
So these guys are giving it their all.
Yeah.
Oh, no! Look at them, they're so good.
Every single word we have.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah, still going. But then it hit the stage for a second. Wait, and it's hitting the stage now. There you go. Very good. Very good.
I know, they just built it in the school hall.
That was evocative and safe.
Yeah.
It's your first panto, but you've been in the West End before. But your first time in the West End, though, you were in a play with Ms. French.
Yes.
And, like...
Did she tell you this?
Well...
This story. I know what you're going to say now.
Well, yes, it is. It just sounds unbelievable. So tell us how badly it went.
Well, the play didn't go that badly.
This sounds quite bad.
All right, it was bad because I had to be on all the time, Graham. Look, I had to, like... my first line in this play, I had to go on stage wearing terrible costume, like a drab old dress and wellies, awful. And my first line was, goodbye. Every night someone would say, oh, is it over then? Oh. I would say, and from then on, honestly, I was on stage the whole time in a sort of demolished house, and Dawn would come on and be perky and go off again. And there was... one time I had to sit at a table and read a magazine. Oh, no. And I started to read the magazine one night and nodded off completely. Wow. Completely nodded off.
How long for?
Brilliant.
Until I woke up and saw Dawn like this. She wasn't going to break it. She was going to wait.
Oh, wow.
She was going to wait until I woke up. Yeah. And I woke up going... And she looked at me like, yeah? Oh, give me the line. I have no idea what point of the play we were at. I didn't know what we'd done. Was it the first half, the second half? I had no idea what was going on. I was literally just like, oh, she went, and I was American accent, terrible. Honestly, because I had young kids at the time and I was quite tired.
Yes.
Pretty relaxed.
It's very relaxed.
I'm impressed with how relaxed you were.
Yeah.
I was very relaxed.
At least you
because
didn't-
I was young enough not to have the panic of knowing your lines. Now I'm so old, I need every time to go, oh, God, will I remember my lines?
It's
and so that
horrible when you forget a
adrenaline keeps you
line.
going.
Yeah.
But then, I honestly, I was
Michael,
just...
you've fallen asleep on something. What did you fall asleep on?
I fell asleep on Holby City when they were operating on me. Yeah. but it was one of those sleeps where I could still hear things. You know, before I slipped away, I was like, I could hear them go.
Like dying.
Yeah.
We're losing him.
We're like, I think he's fallen asleep. It's like, yeah. And then I actually woke up in the scene, but I didn't open my eyes. But I woke up, I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, and they were like doing their lines. I had my spleen removed, I think.
But when we were doing the film Alleluia, which was set in a sort of geriatric ward,
Yeah.
and all the patients were in bed, and they got warm, you see. As soon as you got all the old
asleep and
ladies and old
breathed
men
3
in
times.
bed, and you go, action, and people start acting, you'd hear... and then they go, no, cut. You have to stay awake for the whole scene. Try and stay awake for the whole scene.
The other bit I like in the book, you talk about how you get to kind of familiar faces quite early on when you meet Robert Webb and Olivia Coleman. Now, Olivia Coleman, she's suddenly skyrocketed. She's a fabulous actress. And she was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I so wish I'd read this book before she'd been on. Because I love the story about you. You were in a play called The Miser with her.
Yes, we were in.
Was it theatre and education, going around schools?
Yes, basically. When we just sort of left university, we were doing this tour of production of The Miser, going around schools, and there were just 4 of us in it, and we'd been doing it for months and months and months, and we'd lost respect for the art. You know, it's the worst thing you'd do as an actor. And so we would get quite giggly in this show quite often, particularly as you'd go to a school, and sometimes we went to quite posh schools sometimes where the pupils were extremely obedient, but basically, as far as you could tell, brain dead. They were sort of marshalled in, they'd sit there miserably throughout the whole production and then be marshalled out. So, you know, you weren't even sure that they were still alive while you tried to perform this supposedly funny play. And so, in the absence of any laughter from the audience, we would start to provide it ourselves and become increasingly hysterical during this production. And there was one moment that was a particular problem that would make us all laugh uncontrollably, which is when I would come on stage as a new character wearing a bow tie. And this is a bow tie I'd had to tie in the wings in the dark without a mirror. So I had no real sense of what it looked like. And everyone on stage would be sort of bracing themselves for how stupid this bow tie would look. And it seems like quite a small thing, but if you're incredibly bored of doing a play time after time, all you can think about is, I wonder what Davy's bow tie will look like today. And it got to the point that whatever it was like, it was hilarious. If it was a bit skewiff, that was hilarious. If it was ridiculously misshapen, that was hilarious. If it was fine, that was even more hilarious. And on one particularly dismal performance at a school with particularly brain-dead children, I came on stage with the bow tie in some way... I never saw what it was like myself. And Olivia Coleman pissed herself. Just literally opened her bladder there in the middle of the scene. And it was... I've never before or since have I seen anyone actually piss themselves live. And there's a lot more piss in a human than you'd expect. It was really loads.
Did the kids react?
As far as I can remember, they didn't really react.
Did they not notice?
No, I don't think they did. I noticed. I particularly noticed the point when it started to overflow her shoes. And at that point, I realised that the stage was raked. It started to head gradually towards the front row, but they never seemed to notice at all.
Oh, my God.
And tell me, when you're doing a play like that, obviously there's a live audience and that brings its challenges. Have you had experiences?
I have had some experiences,
Yeah.
Jack, yeah. I was doing a production in the West End some years ago, and it was very unusual sort of production in that the audience, it was a very different kind of audience. People would come in with takeaway food and eat takeaway food there. Hen parties would come with blow-up dolls, buying seats for blow-up dolls. and also lots of people seemed to be sort of fainting and carried out on gurneys. But the most spectacular of all of these things...
Where was the show?
The most spectacular of all of these things is that one night, two people in the balcony vomited onto the people in the circle. And then 4 to 6 people vomited onto people in the stalls like some sort of horrendous vomit fountain. And then people were vomiting in the stalls. It was an amazing night out at the theatre, and get your tickets now for the Bridge Theatre Midsummer Night.
Yes. What was that? What was the show?
I'm not telling you, David.
Are you sure you want to do an immersive play?
I can't wait.
You're in and amongst them. They could vomit on you at any moment.
I'm really up for new experiences.
Yeah. Not the only person to have trodden the boards. Obviously, we have one of the great actors of his generation, Mr. Peter Crouch. You famously gave us your Robin Hood.
Oh yeah. I was 9 years old, to be honest. I was 10 years old, and I played the lead part in Robin Hood.
You played Robin Hood? Who played Little John?
Well, being a footballer, we don't immerse ourselves in theatre too often. So I missed out. I missed the boat there. But I did play Robin Hood once, and that was it.
Did you enjoy it? Did you think this is... Or I don't want this, I want the glamour of football and Stoke and Burnley?
I loved it. In all honesty, it was... I just didn't mind about, really. And they thought I would be good for the lead role. So, yeah, I took it on and I made it my own, I thought.
Have you ever been asked to be in a pantomime?
No, I haven't, no. I've been quite busy with football over the years.
You dabble in football, don't you? Yeah, you dabble, yeah.
Catherine Tate's theatrical roots, of course, go back to Nativity play. Was that your first...?
It was my first appearance in a Nativity play when I was 4. Obviously, as we were all in Nativity plays, I'm sure.
I was
you
bumped
weren't.
at the last minute.
Oh, OK.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a very good part. Well, I didn't get any part. And I guess... I don't know if my mum was a bit pushy or just wanted to encourage me, because I was a little girl with glasses, ginger hair, you know, I mean...
Yes.
And I used to wet myself as well, quite a lot. I did. In school...
Did you mean to?
Do you know what it was? I completely remember...
Well, she said, I used to wet myself.
Yeah. I used to sit there in Story Corner and we were having a book read to us, and I remember thinking, oh, it would be really embarrassing if I asked to go to the loo. Not thinking how embarrassing it would be once I wet myself and say, I've wet myself. And then they go, Miss, Catherine's wet herself again. But yeah, I used to wet myself. It's so much so that the teachers used to have spare pants in the drawer for me. This was in sixth form. Anyway, so I didn't get a good part because I was terribly shy.
I can imagine, yeah.
Can't even say I can go to... Can I go to the toilet?
It's like a therapy session now for you.
I know, it is.
I like it. Go. So your mother shows up.
So I came back and said, oh, I haven't got a very good part in the Nativity. And my mum said, well, does Sister Dorothy know that you can do an impression of Gary Glitter?
Different times, everyone. Different times.
It was a different time. And so I said... so my mum said, you must go and say what you can do. And I said to Sister Mary Dorothy, I have to tell you that I can do an impression of Gary Glitter. And that my mum said, when the 3 kings arrive, I could turn up as well as the king of glam rock. And the teacher was kind of going, well, I don't think there's much room in the Nativity for Gary Glitter to show up. And I said, look, it's the birth of our Lord. Don't you think Mary and Joseph would have had a party? And to her credit, at the Nativity, they stopped the Nativity show and said, ladies and gentlemen, the cabaret's arrived. And there's people with tea towels on their head, you know, with a little baby. And I come in and go, come on, come on. And that's where it all began. And then, of course, I wet myself.
Come on. Oh.
Let's turn to Ruth Wilson, currently starring at the National Theatre as Hedda Gabler. I mean, this is a very different take on the play.
Yeah, I mean, this is like it's a director called Ivo von Hove, and has a very modern take on the play. So we're in modern dress. I'm in a little slip. It's...
Sell those tickets.
Yeah, Patrick, yeah, exactly.
It's practically see-through, and I mean, I have to say...
I want to see you in it now.
You did great. Great. But I get covered in tomato. It's very sort of physical and active, and we have sort of light coming from under the stage, and it's stunning. It looks sort of quite cinematic.
And, I saw it a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's really amazing production, and Ruth is brilliant in it.
Well, it's fun. I get to be. She's not a particularly nice woman.
Yeah, one of my friends said that you just ruin loads of men's lives.
Yeah, yeah, she does. She has sort of 3 men around her, and she sends them to their death.
It's kind of like...
she's pretty nasty.
But she's funny.
But she's funny. She's acerbic and dry and sharp. Yeah, she's dangerous.
Ricky Gervais, you're famously a very lazy actor. You would not be in a play like this.
No, I wouldn't do a play. Because I can walk out on stage to thousands of people and just say what I want. But if it's lines, if it's Ibsen or Shakespeare, I know they probably know the play too, so I could go wrong. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to let them down. I don't want to have to... I don't want that moment of getting something wrong. I can't get it wrong when it's me, because I'm making it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that would be that... I know I couldn't do it.
I was in a production of a Shakespeare play, Coriolanus, and there was one night where somebody actually had brought the play along and a little nightlight so they could read it.
Jesus,
that's wind you up.
That is just rude, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or was that weird? Was that academic?
No. It's that's not part of the
They
deal.
had a night light.
Yeah,
you're in the Donmar. It's like the smallest theatre in London, and they've got a night light. Looking at...
I banned ice in drinks at my gigs because it puts me off.
Yeah.
I'm like a right little fascist. I can't stand anyone talking or...
No ice in the drinks?
No, because it rattles. It's annoying me. I'm talking. I can't stand it.
It's a plastic glass!
Yeah, I love plastic glasses, yeah. But I no, it's quiet, it's dark, I can't see them. I couldn't do a play. People chatting.
Tony, did you do anything in school or anything? Have you ever done acting?
Yeah, I did. Oh, I did the Pied Piper in primary school. I was the mayor.
Is the mayor the baddie in the Pied Piper?
The mayor is the Pied... Yeah, the mayor is kind of the baddie.
He doesn't pay him, does he? So
doesn't pay the Pied Piper, and all the rats come and it's a disaster.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Very challenging role, because Tom Hiddleston, now, one of your... Because you acted in school, but you were in school...
Yeah.
I mean, how posh is this? You got to see a school production, and Tom Hiddleston's in it with Eddie Redmayne.
Right, well, yes. He was a great talent even then. He was the star. He was a huge star. And we were in a school production of A Passage to India by E.M. Forster.
There must have been some really depressed parents going in to see that. They're doing A Passage to India.
How long was it?
I have no idea. Very long, yeah. So, all-boys school.
They're only halfway.
Eddie, the great Eddie Redmayne, the now Oscar-winning Eddie Redmayne, was playing the female lead. And in The Passage to India, there's an expedition to this cultural landmark called the Marabar Caves by elephant. I'm delighted to reveal that I played the front right leg of the elephant that Eddie was riding.
So it was 4 of you to make the elephant?
That's right, yeah.
And he was sitting on you?
He's sitting on... We're holding a table with a cushion on top of it and also a tablecloth to cover our faces because our bodies are the elephant. Yeah, so that's... that
sounds awful.
You've just got that picture in your head. Yeah.
I'm just like, I imagine just sitting there thinking, I haven't had a drink, we're at school, they're carrying some boy dressed as a girl on top of a table.
And my son's playing the front leg.
I can't even say that's my boy.
Front leg.
Great. Yes. IMDb, front leg.
Front leg.
But no, No, because lots of actors, things go wrong on stage, but you seem to have, like, in the fight, there's like a list of terrible things that happen to you.
How that happens to me. Oh, yeah, I did a play where I had to fire a gun, and a woman in the second row had audibly gone to sleep about 20 minutes before. And I fired the gun, and I was sort of keeping an eye out for her, because I thought, this will wake her up. And there was and she woke up, and there's a big pause on stage, and a big pause from her as well, and then she gets up and starts to shuffle out, and you hear her friend saying, "Where are you going?" She said, "I've shit myself." The theatre it's a classy enterprise.
Dude, you've talked about how your kids find it a bit embarrassing that you're an actor.
Now and then, yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of embarrassment, was it friends that saw you on Broadway, in your debut on Broadway? Was it Indiscretions?
It was. It was a play, actually, that I originated here down the road at the National Theatre. And there was a scene at the top of Act 2 where I was in a bath. The curtain goes up and I'm in a bath talking to my lover and I have to get out of the bath and dry myself and get dressed. And the crew knew that on this one night all my friends were in, so they filled the bath with ice. Yeah. Yeah. You know the little 50p's you put in to get binoculars in the theatre?
Yeah.
That went through the roof. Tiny.
Did you do the thing that every man does when he gets out the bath, though? Does that little... You know people are watching. Every man does it when you get changed in the changing room. You just sort of, come on, son, wake up. Come on, there's people looking. It's just a natural thing, isn't it? Obviously, you can't do it too much. It changes the atmosphere.
It's amazing as well how when you're drying yourself, you never really watch other people dry. So when everyone's watching, they go, "That's really weird the way you kind of dry your." I was like, "What was I doing?" Oh God! And suddenly like, "What? No, you don't."
And obviously that's in the outback where you hear about snakes all the time. Did you have to deal with those?
I didn't see a snake. There was a snake incident on set one day. Someone opened a car, not that car, but one of the cars in it, and there was a snake inside the car that had been, like, staying in there, like a sort of, like, Airbnb type vibe. And, but I wasn't there that day, so I didn't deal with snakes.
But now, here's the thing. Most people, you don't like snakes. Sophie, you like snakes.
I wouldn't like to find one just like that, but I did work with snakes on the stage when I play Cleopatra. There's a snake at the end and of the play. It's not a spoiler alert. And I actually thought, well, they were talking about it at the beginning, what we're going to do about the snake. I said, well, I'm not going to bring, after doing a 3.5-hour show, I'm not going to bring a rubber snake out and it's just going to look bad. So we should just try. We should just try. Everyone laughing. The most serious moment, she kills herself. And anyway, so we had these real snakes, and I did grow to really love them.
Is that snake looked really dangerous? Is that made up?
No.
Made to look dangerous?
No.
It looks
They were all poison-free.
No, I'm with James. That looked like a killer.
Yeah.
That looked like a killer.
I didn't have... There was no real mishaps. One night, one got stuck in... Because I'm laying on the floor, like, dead. I know if you haven't seen it, sorry, but laying dead at the end of the play, and one snake... I sort of hold on to it with my hand, and I sort of fall on the floor, and I kind of keep a grip, and then Charmian comes over and takes the snake away, and I was holding on to it, and it slipped out of my hand, and then it went into my wig. Got caught in my wig. But I have to keep still, because I'm dead, so I can't suddenly go, excuse me, sorry. But one of the actors came and sort of managed to sort of get it out and sort of pull a pin out and get it out of my wig.
Is it right that a theatre job got you that part in Gladiator?
Yeah, I was doing Streetcar Named Desire at the time, that was the... Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I was doing that play at the time, and that's when Sir Ridley Scott called and was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Is the Pope Catholic?" Yeah.
You were in Streetcar Named Desire, weren't you?
I was.
Who did you play?
Stella.
Oof, amazing
Yeah.
part.
Who was your Stanley? This was in school.
Okay.
So, actually, he's a known actor now. Trey Byers, have you seen Empire?
Yes.
He's the older brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, someone fell.
Oh, no. They fell off their seat. Huge fan.
Tires!
Oh my God! Stop it!
No, that's a fun.
It's a great play.
It's meaty.
Yeah.
It's constant.
I nearly killed an audience member when we were
course you
doing
did.
it. No, we were doing it in the round. There's this moment, like, Stanley's like one of those, like, he's like a volcano. So I was like, had this prop where, like, this metal plate, and I'm really angry or something, so I fire it off the ground. And we did in the Almeida, and it's tiny space. It's marching around, doing big acting. I had this plate, and I wellied it off the stage, and whatever way it bounced, it, like, if you're this lady in the audience, the plate went bang off this pillar. I remember stopping for a second. I was like, the suing that would happen. No, it fully would have cracked her straight in the face.
Because, Kingsley, you've done a lot of theatre.
Yeah, not for a long time, but when I first started out.
Yeah, but now you had what sounds like every actor's nightmare.
I did, yeah.
Were you in the Soho Theatre?
Yeah, I was doing a play called God's Property. It was Arinze Kenne's, one of his first plays. And we're in the middle of this scene that's, like, such a, like, low-key moment in the play. You know, like, we're just... It's a really...
cold sweat.
It's a really, like... it's a really simple moment. Nothing much is going on. And it goes silent. And I'm looking at Rhea and Ashley, and I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know. And then, like, 30 seconds pass, and no one's saying anything. They're only a little bit younger than me. And then I think 2 minutes must have passed. And so I got up. It's making me feel panicky now thinking about it.
We all have PTSD.
And so I get up. I don't even know if it's me at this point, but I don't know how to help. So I go to the back of the stage, and there's a sink.
It's always the best place to go.
I pretend to start washing up.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking up, going, God, please, like, what? But, you know, the feeling is you're sinking, but you're calm.
Yeah.
But you feel like you're sinking. And I think I heard afterwards it was 3.5 minutes past. And you
Are you kidding?
This is fucking press night.
And nobody says
press night.
No.
I forgot it was press night, and you can hear the pens and the papers rustling. So I go, right, this is silly now. So I run off stage, and I open the script. And I'm trying, like, I'm gonna find where I am. And I'm trying to, I'm just seeing black and white. And then I go, and then I run straight back on. And I skip 20 pages. You know, and Realism Mitrovic afterwards said, like, you know, we should have helped you. Yeah. And I was like,
yes,
we were all,
yes, you should.
Yeah. But it was weird because I genuinely felt so calm. But, like, yeah, it was weird.
Wow. Because, Andrew, you just did that thing of playing a one-person version of Vanya in the West End.
Yeah.
It's
Which
insane.
was amazing. I saw it. It was so good. And you play 8 people. What, is it better or worse if you try
Well, it's
and
good because if you mess up, usually when you mess up on stage with another actor, you try to signal to them through your eyes.
3.5 minutes and nobody said
Yeah,
anything.
at all. And then somebody usually steps in, but it's actually quite good because if you mess up when you're on your own, you just nobody. I don't mind.
You're not annoyed. And Chekhov's dead.
And Chekhov's dead. But it reminds me, when we were doing Hamlet, I think I've told you this story. I shot Juliet Stevenson in the face by accident, obviously. But we were doing Hamlet, and I had to threaten her with a gun. So the scene is Hamlet is threatening his mother with a gun, and Polonius, the kind of villainous character, is behind a curtain, and then I hear him behind the curtain, and then I shoot him. But the gun just went off. And Peter White, who was playing Polonius, was waiting. He thought he had loads of time, and he was like... and he sort of just died, and the audience was like...
The shock?
Yeah, he died of fright. And it was horrific, and I just went across the stage. I was like, because the gun just went. I hate guns anyway, but they just went off, and I was like, da-da-da. And afterwards, at the interval, I went down to Dame Juliet Stevenson, who is, and it just shows what a badass she is, and like, knocked on her door, like, to apologise for shooting her in the face. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know how that happened. The gun must have been faulty. And she was like, I loved it. Didn't it add something? Didn't it add something? Just shows what it was. Incredible. Really badass. I guess theatre is scary.
Now, I've seen the play on my own volition. I didn't know you were going to be a guest. And it is an extraordinary feat to hold the stage by yourself.
It's terrifying.
Is it really?
Oh, God! Oh, my God! It's the most unnatural thing in the world to do.
Have you ever done a one-person play before?
No!
Is it lonely? I mean,
no.
is it as lonely? Is it... I mean, it must be a bit Ms. Backstage.
Well, it's just very strange. It's so odd.
Did you buy yourself a present on opening night?
No, I shouldn't. But, you know, before I go on, it's just me and the stage manager and...
Is there an understudy?
No! It's just me. And it is...
What happens if you can't do it?
God only knows.
Oh, okay.
But it's... You know, it's very bizarre before you go out. I get very, very, very nervous. And then you literally sort of have to throw yourself out there. And then it happens, and then I come back off. And I'm like, what just happened?
Oh, my God.
I just have... And there's no one to turn to and be like, that was really bad, wasn't it? Did I miss that moment, or what's going on? So it's a strange... I'm so happy I've been able to do it, and I love it, because the material is so beautiful.
Well, you must have it, because you've come back to do it again.
Yeah, I really do. I really love it.
And, Kush, in terms of hair, did you shave your head for Hamlet, or... Because I'm used to you always having short hair.
I know. Well, I shaved it in preparation for Hamlet, but Hamlet was supposed to happen like 3 years ago before I was like, I'm off to do Hamlet, and then I arrived and they said, the theatres are closed, there's the pandemic. So I was like, but I've cut all my hair off.
But fine, you did get to do your Hamlet.
I finally got to do Hamlet.
And did you love it?
I bloody loved it. Oh, shit. Can we? Bloody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was amazing. I loved it.
And what's so extraordinary is, so we've got two actors who played Hamlet, but you didn't just play Hamlet as well, Michael, you played it in the same theatre.
Yeah.
Yes, at the Young Vic Theatre.
Which I saw. So I sat in the audience. You nearly fell on my lap in the sword fight at the very end. No, it was the most incredible Hamlet I've ever seen in the Young Vic.
Oh.
And he was very charismatic, sexy, amazing Hamlet in a mental institution. And it was amazing. Ian Rickson directed it. And then I played Hamlet in the same space 10 years later.
Wow. And because I know, obviously, when you do a play like that, you get a lot of, school parties and things coming to see it. And you found that quite challenging.
Well, I mean, it's quite small, the Young Vic. The audience are right there with you. And when we did it with audience on three sides. Yeah. So the audience in front of you is one thing, but the audience to the left and the right can look at each other. They're watching the stage, but they can see the audience across the way. And so when there were school parties in, which is great, fantastic, young people coming in, loved it. But they would sometimes get a little bit hijinksy when they could see other school parties across the way from them. And the fact that there was a production of Hamlet going on in between didn't really seem to matter to them that much. So there was one performance where I was doing the first soliloquy of Hamlet, Oh, that this too solid flesh, and as I was doing, I was sitting on a chair, and there was a young gentleman sitting behind me, just kicking my chair all the way through it. That's my first soliloquy. So, and it went on from there, it got worse and worse and worse, until eventually, in the second half, I came out, and there's a scene with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, where they're sort of, these two characters are kind of... And he takes them on, and he has an argument with them. I had lost my rag so much with this one young guy. I'm not proud of this. I picked up Guildenstern and used him as a battering ram to attack this kid in your... And weirdly, he's the actor in your film who was in your trailer, Adil, who sees...
No!
Yeah. I'd feel awful about it, and I had a flashback when I saw the trailer of your film. But I picked up Adil and used him to attack this audience member. Hamlet, he's mad, he's mad.
Have I made this up, Peter? Did you play Hamlet?
No. No, you know what? I love being back in London because we're talking about Hamlet. You don't get it as much back home. It's, having come from the theatre myself, it's so refreshing. Thank you. Yeah. No, I haven't played Hamlet.
Okay.
Did some of the other Richard III's and all of that, but not.
Okay.
Hamlet.
So you got
not too old.
Oh, no, Ian McKellen just played it.
Yeah.
I would... Hamlet? Please, can we see you play Hamlet, please?
Yeah.
Well...
I would love to see you play.
What the people demand. The people demand. Yeah, do it here. Do it here.
Now. Right now.
No, not now.
Right.
Not now. Obvious that sounds. And you are Hamlet. You played Hamlet as a man.
Yes, I played him as a him.
OK, and how did you get into the him vibe?
Well, a few ways. I had a long time to think about it, obviously. I noticed that I actually, rehearsal-wise, borrowed a lot of my husband's trousers and boxer shorts. I kind of didn't wear ladies' knickers for a number of months, which was quite helpful. And I actually remember at drama school there was a class who was doing an all-female show at drama school, and I remember they gave them condoms to fill with, like, Play-Doh or something, because you got to choose the size of your penis. It's just helpful to... You know, you're a man and you get to think about, well, how big do I want my penis to be? And everyone's like, enormous, you know. But I got to... And then when I was doing the show, I never wore knickers. Also because they, you know, you're knife fighting, you're getting thrown around a lot, and you don't want to, like, be like, I'm a man, believe me, and then someone throws you on the floor and you've got your little butterfly thong. So yeah, I wore a lot of boxer shorts. And also, you know, I previous to being married, I dated a lot, and I have a lot of memories of men. So I have many examples to draw upon, and I work from a lot of pictures, so I had 12 or 15 different kinds of man on my wall that ran everything from politicians to rap artists and I would try to hit certain power stances and... OK. Yeah, I enjoyed it. No bra, legs open, bloody loved it. It was great.
And is it true, Emma, so Damien Chazelle, the director, he saw you in a musical on Broadway?
Yes, he did. And I'm grabbing Sienna because we both did this musical on Broadway, and that's where we met. And we had such a nice time getting to know each other. We both did Cabaret on Broadway.
But not at the same time.
No. Well, yes, at the same time. We fought for the spotlight. One musical number, then another. No, at different times. But yeah, he came to see Cabaret. That's where he...
And you know, people talk about things going wrong on stage, but when you talk about Cabaret, it just sounds like a litany of disasters.
That's what it feels like to do Cabaret. No, it was just... I was sick for, I would say, the majority of the run.
And then wasn't there a weird thing with your contact lenses? What happened?
Oh, both of my... So I'm also... I have the worst eyesight of any person I've ever met, not to brag. Very bad. And I've only ever lost one contact lens at a time. But on one particular night, singing Maybe This Time, I blinked and both of them came out at the same time. And I literally cannot see. And so in the blackout, I was just screaming, Bill, who was our mutual co-star. I was like, Bill! And he was like, what? And had to drag me off in the dark because I just didn't know how to get off stage.
But now, Sienna, didn't you have a similar thing when you were doing this?
I got sick a week before we started, and in America I felt like Elvis. They just pump you full of steroids.
They give you so many steroids.
We're like little emaciated stick insects, and it's a pretty nihilistic character. I mean, you go a bit mad anyway. Yeah. So that wasn't fun. And then yes, I smashed my eye open on stage. And I
good noise, everyone. Very good noise.
I was supposed to be taken off the stage in the blackout, that moment where you have the spotlight in your eye and a stagehand's supposed to come and get you, so you stand up and you just put your arms out because you've been emotional, and someone comes and leads you off, and he didn't show up. And then the train station scene started happening. I was like, I can't be here. Weeping in the train, it was like, and so I just ran in my mayhem into a metal pole, and I was like, and Alan Cumming, who was our MC, so good again. Then it sounded like a cart hitting metal. Anyway, it split open, and I had to stand up in that window with just blood pouring down my eye. And then do a curtain call, and I loved it. There's blood on the stage. And then the next day, went back on the next day with an eye like this, with a fake eyelash, like... It's
so horrific for Sally, though. It's really kind of great. But it's kind of useful in that moment.
The scar is not
Leslie Manville, movie star now, and yet, theatre, you love theatre. I mean, you have dedicated your life to the theatre. Is that fair to say?
No, it is. And I do honestly believe it's where I learnt it all. Because on stage, nobody can edit you. They can't make you look better than you are. You know, the audience can look wherever they like. It's not a director's cut with shots and edits. So it's very... And you're on your own, aren't you? I mean, you have the rehearsals, but night after night after night, you've got to go out there and be it and sell it, and it's very exposing.
I saw you years ago. I saw you in The Cherry Orchard with Dame Judy Dench.
Did you?
With Sam Mendes, the child Sam Mendes directed.
Oh, look at me. Oh, God, that's depressing.
No! I'm touched by time. And Dame Judy Dench, she has a reputation for being quite naughty.
Naughty? That woman should be locked up. I mean, she is... I mean, she's so naughty. Do you want to know what she did to me that night? So there's a moment in the Cherry Orchard where my character was on stage on their own for a short time. Judy Dench is in the wings trying to make me laugh, trying to corpse me, which is...
Yeah.
Try to make me laugh. And she's... How can I put this? She's pretending that she's being pleasured by somebody from behind. So, excellent. I'm sorry, Judy, if you're watching, but you shouldn't be so naughty. So I'm on stage and I can see all this and I'm desperately trying not to laugh. And the important bit of information here is that I just had a baby. So my pelvic floor wasn't quite what it should have been. Now, I was wearing a long dress, but Judy made me laugh so much that I wet myself. And it gets worse, because the stage was raked, which means it's not... So I watched my piss trickle down.
I don't think I was there that night, no.
Well, if you were in the front row, you'd have seen it go over the edge. That woman is so naughty. I mean, you must have stories about her.
Do you work with her?
I've worked with her a few times.
Oh, my God.
And we did a play at the National Theatre called Entertaining Strangers, which was an ensemble, a promenade production, which meant the audience was in amongst the actors and vice versa. And one evening, she was off stage and she could see a mutual friend, Howard Davies, director, sitting amongst the group of people on this stage. So she thought, I know. So she scribbled a note. And as she passed by to go and do the scene with Tim Pigott-Smith, she scribbled down, fancy a shag. And as she walked past him, she dropped it in his lap and carried on and did the scene. And... feeling very smug with, and pleased with herself. And at the end of the scene, she sort of looked round and realised it wasn't Howard Davies.
That's so good!
And actually, talking of that, in theatre, Phoebe, I'd say you learned a valuable lesson. Was it hay fever? Noel Coward's hay fever?
Oh, God, I've had so many regrets about telling you guys about this story. Literally. OK. Occasionally, backstage, there are some japes with actors, you know.
Sure.
You know. Yeah. That keep the other actors kind of entertained when it's a really long run. And I'm really sorry, Mum, that I'm telling this story. And there was one, I was doing hay fever, and it was a 3-month run, and there was one moment, on the stage where I was off stage with this other actor, Sam, and one of the other actors, one of the characters played by Freddie Fox, would storm across the stage, open this door, and we'd be standing behind the door, you know, masked from the audience, and he had to go, and then he'd slam the door and run back onto the stage. And so we always used to do something kind of quirky behind the door to make him laugh. And every night, and we started off by doing a little, like, ooh, like we're kissing, or like, oh, we put a funny hat on Sam. But it was 3 months long, this run, and we had to up the game every night. Every single night. And so we started getting the stage management involved, and there were massive, like, hot dog costumes, and, like, we brought people from outside to come in. So every time Freddie would open the door, he'd be, like, really excited, and he'd be like, and then we'd be like, and then we had to change really quickly and then run onto stage, and the other cast members could see it. And it was building and building, and we were running out of ideas, and there was, like, a week left, and we were exhausting ourselves. And then suddenly it was getting to the last night, and we were like, we have to have a big finish. Like, what are we going to do for Freddie? And neither of us could think of anything. And suddenly we did the matinee, and we'd done this kind of wild, kind of like spangly, glittery thing. And then on the final performance, we had nothing. And we were like, we have to do something. We have to do something. We could hear Freddie coming across the stage, and we were like, we haven't thought of anything. Sam just said, just, I know, I've got it. Look, just show them your I was like, what? That's awful. He was like, it's brilliant. The stage management around me going, perfect. Your actual I just thought, do that. And I was like, really? And they're like turning me around. I was like, is this going to be good? And they were like, yeah. I had this huge pink skirt on. No, it's a horrendous story. And I had this huge pink skirt on, and everyone's like, it's gonna be great. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be, oh my God, what's happening? And I was leaning down, and then Freddie was running along, and I was like bent over with the stage management, like, and then he opened the door, and Freddie just went, oh. I was standing there like, oh God, everything's gone quiet. And then I turned around and I saw like the glitterati of the London stage, like Olivia Coleman, Lindsay Duncan, Kevin McNally, all going, yeah, too far. On stage, it was horrendous.
Well told. Well told, bravely told. It's gone now. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Now, talking of famous co-stars and celebrities and things, I imagine Lin-Manuel Miranda, there isn't a famous person in the world who hasn't been to see Hamilton. Yeah, and... I mean, when you were on Broadway, was it just every night there was a huge...
It was... You were scared of getting sick and calling out. I got sick once in the year I performed it, and I missed Beyoncé and Jay-Z. Yeah, that's what I said. No. And I was like pulling the IV out of my arm, I had a fever of 104, and my wife was like, stay in bed. I was like, I could do it, I could do it. And yeah, I mean, you just couldn't miss because it was like the internet came to the show every night.
And when you first brought it to the UK, you were joined in the audience by someone very famous, Prince Harry and Meghan. Yeah, I know. So how does that happen?
I look very relaxed.
Whoa.
Yes.
This is going fine.
I'm loving this evening.
Megan's having a great time.
Yeah. They're really like you.
They'd been
not so
before,
much.
actually.
Yeah.
They were fans of the show. They'd actually seen the show sort of secretly a few months prior in sort of a little secret box. I mean, it's the Victoria Theatre. That's his great-great-great-great-grandmother's theatre, so he knows secret ways in.
Yeah. and of course, George III is... That must be... What is
his
that?
sixth great-grandpa.
How weird. And then he's... So he's...
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really glad he didn't take it personally. we do take the piss a bit out of King George III.
Have you guys all seen it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Saw it 4 times.
Get you.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Mega fan.
I've got to take my mum. I've got to talk to you about that.
Is that... Actually, we were laughing about this. Is that your life, just people asking you for tickets to Hamilton?
Yeah, for the most part. And I'd rather that than me busking outside, because I've been that guy, too. I've been busking at the Edinburgh Fringe, being like, please see our show. So I like this better.
Yeah. But what's amazing, and it should give everyone hope, is that it took... Like, you were not an overnight sensation. Like, it did take you a lot... Like, people would have given up. Like what I'm saying.
I'm like a 30-year overnight sensation.
How many auditions do you think you did before you got a job?
Well, it's sort of been mythologized now, but it started with about 600.
Wow.
Most people, smart people, quit when it takes that long.
What was giving you hope?
I couldn't do anything else.
But you've done a lot of theatre, haven't you, over the years?
That's right.
Yeah. And sometimes incredibly convincing performances. Didn't you, like, cross
Sometimes more than others.
Yeah, didn't you, like, cross a line in it? Was it your fault that you crossed the line? Or was it somebody set you up?
Oh, you're talking about that?
Yes.
There was a play that I did that I had to... I smoked a joint in the first scene. And, of course, there was a very naughty young actor I was in the play with who, on the opening night with all the critics...
The opening night?
He slipped a real joint onto the prop table. And I'm out there, and I'm just... Now, when you're acting, you overdo everything. So when you're out at a party, you take 2 puffs and you say, OK, that's enough, I'm so stoned. But I was acting, and so I'm just like...
I'll save you.
I literally, between the 2 of us, we smoked a giant blunt on stage. And I'm like, man, I am in it tonight. I feel it. I'm on fire. here, man. I'm feeling it, and I... Why's that dude standing backstage laughing at me? And the kid who put the joint on the prop table is standing there going... And I just went... Oh, shit. And the girl that I was passing it to had never smoked pot in her life.
Oh, my God.
I had, up to that point, had smoked a lot of pot. So I know you haven't, and I know you have.
No, Barbs don't ever do drugs, okay? Love you too.
We interrupt this anecdote for a message.
Back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, yeah. Okay. We return
It was
to
the
Bob
worst
Ruffalo.
thing I ever did. Don't do it. But at the end of the play, I got the best reviews of my entire career. But I'm not...
No, we're
it's
not.
wrong. I would never do that again. It was a nightmare experience. And for the Barbs, you're much better off listening to Nikki than me.
That's right.
And I've got another picture of you in an early role. I don't know whether this is before Corelli or after Corelli. When were you in Beauty and the Beast?
Straight after Corelli.
Oh, right.
Literally straight after, yes.
So this was you as Gaston.
Yeah.
Oh, look at now, this, I don't know if this story is true. It sounds on... Is this story true? It sounds unbelievable.
Oh, OK, I know the story. It's true. It's...
How is that possible?
Well, it's my most embarrassing moment in life, where I was getting these headaches. It was my first job I'd done in a musical. And I was getting headaches, and I went to a naturopath, and he said, oh, you're dehydrated, you're sweating every night, so you need to drink 3 litres of water a day. I was like, 3 litres? So, of course, me being me, I drank 4 litres, right, thinking 3 or 4. So I have a routine when I go on stage, and I was on about 5 minutes after the show goes up. I always pee when they say places. Places, ladies and gentlemen, you hear it, and I go and pee. So I peed. I'm waiting backstage, and I'm like, I've got to go again. I've got to go again. No, I've really got to go again. And that was my cue. So I walked on stage really needing to go again. And that first number was very energetic. And it was during that number where I pick up Belle, I literally have to pick her up. And as I'm picking her up, I'm like, oh. Now, that's when I realised the muscles you need to release to sing are the very ones you need to tense to hold on. So by the end of the number, I was literally bursting, and I managed to hold on. And I remember the girl playing Belle was looking at me because I was singing like this. And so it came to the last note. I was humiliated. I have to demonstrate this. So front of the stage here, and the very final note's a big F sharp and big... And I say, will you marry? And I say a little line. I'm thinking, if I sing this note, I'm peeing my pants. If I don't sing this note, I'm humiliated in front of 2,000 people. Me!
The show must go on. Tell me this. In the play, are there any older actors?
Well, I mean, what do you mean, older actors?
Like,
there's actors that are older than me.
Yeah. No, it's just because... Ethan Hawke, you've had an extraordinary experience working with an older actor.
I wondered if that's where you were going.
Was this on Broadway?
I was on Broadway once, yes, and I was doing a scene...
This is unbelievable. Go.
I was doing a scene with the great Richard Easton, a Canadian actor who actually was in the RSC for 25 years. And we were doing a scene where he's playing my father, and I have to ask him for money, and he would get very angry and shout at me. And he would shout and shout and shout and shout. And one day we're doing it, and he was getting particularly mad and particularly heated. And he had a heart attack and fell down on center stage. And the audience, unlike you, thought it was absolutely hysterically funny. Yeah, you know, I mean, he really hit he hit like a watermelon hit, you know?
Yeah.
And I was absolutely terrified because I'd done many plays with him, and I knew something was terribly wrong.
Oh, my God.
And so it turns out he died. Now, yes, but the... Hang on.
It just slipped off the tongue.
No, there was a guy who did props on the show who was really good at CPR, and he came out and he started working on it and doing CPR and blowing, and we had to say, is there a doctor in the house? And somebody came out, and the show stopped, and we called the ambulance, and the guys came, and they started his heart again. With the, 11 minutes later or something, they had the... Yeah.
11 minutes later?
Center stage, Broadway.
Did the audience leave the theatre?
No, nobody left. You know, they...
Oh,
but
my God,
it was
so intense.
Let me tell you, it was incredibly intense, all right?
Yes.
And, we were all backstage praying. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And did he come back to the play?
Well, it was great. Yes, he did. And not that night.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Excuse me.
He went to the hospital, clearly. The show did not go on. The show stopped. And a couple days later, I got a call, because we were friends, and he wanted me to come. I came to his hospital room, and he ran lines with me, because he wanted me to go back to the cast and the crew and everybody and show that he didn't have brain damage, and he remembered all his lines, and that his understudy better cool his jets, because he was coming back. And it was beautiful. And then he did come back. It's one of the best shows of my life was when he came back.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it must have been quite nerve-wracking in that scene every night. Kind of like...
Incredibly nerve-wracking. I kept saying, don't get so angry.
That's a lot of drama right there. Yeah.
That is a lot of drama right there.
So that might happen to you.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, the guy you're torturing, it might go wrong.
Sure.
There's the cat
He's
action.
hanging upside down by his ankles, so
Because you've done loads of stage, but presumably nothing that...
Oh, my Lord, no, nothing like that. No way.
I've died on stage loads of times.